Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Firstly, I think the reason I would like to talk about Brian Turner and John Williams is what they have really done for the industry. And primarily, obviously, they've had great careers, which we can touch on, but they have been huge supporters and developers of the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts. And along with Sarah Jane Staines, whose whole baby it was back in 1980, 40 years ago, it has become the leading professional membership association for head chefs, pastry chefs, restaurant managers, suppliers through the associates program. And it basically provides education and career opportunities for chefs and the like, as I've just said. But it also runs additional programs such as Adopt a School, which was founded in 1990, primarily by Brian with Sarah. And that has become a major force in teaching food and food provenance to school children and to explaining about the environment, nutrition, health and hygiene, obviously the whole aspects of cookery, and sessions are delivered by chefs and hospitality professionals. And that's become a massive organisation, as has the RACA apprenticeships, the Academy's apprenticeship schemes, which is a 3-year vocational course. There are two forms, actually. There's one run with Bournemouth and Poole, which is 3 years, and it's like an industrial release with the industry. And the other one's a one-day block release with Westminster or the University of West London. And that's been running since 1994, with the apprenticeships obviously becoming a key part of it. So that's kind of the official part, but there's a lot of fun that goes in. And the fun is a lot of the Darby and Joan Act, as I call it, that goes on between Brian and John at things like award ceremonies. And if anyone's attended the Academy of Culinary Awards annual awards, which happen every year, they will know that this event is quite an industry rabble-rouser. And there's also the Master of Culinary Arts, which is actually held every 4 years. A number of people have been involved in all this, which goes back, including Albert Roux, who sadly passed away this year, Richard Shepherd, and a number of key chefs have lent their support to it. Heston Blumenthal's been chairman of it. But the actual events, the dinners, and they are quite regularly in normal times, which hopefully we're heading back to. They tend to take place at Claridge's or other leading establishments. And when it comes to the awards, it's probably fair to say that Brian and John are very good at winding each other up. And they have a sort of history which goes back 20, 30 years. And I think that, interestingly, I asked each of them prior to this podcast to just ask what they liked winding each other up about most, because it's a while since, sadly, we've actually had a live session from them. And their main thing is that they actually play quite a lot of golf together and like to get one over each other on the golf course. But Brian has a very dry sense of humour and is always trying to set John up. John is, let's say, a little bit the Ernie Wise to Brian's Eric Morecambe, and falls for things a bit, and then he kind of twigs and realises he's being set up, and he gives as good as he got. They've both been decorated, as it were. Brian has a CBE. John has an MBE. John has achieved a hell of a lot in recent times at the Ritz. They achieved a Michelin star, which, being the team player he is, if you ask John what his proudest moment is, he would actually say winning the Michelin star on behalf of the team, or the whole team winning it. And in Brian's case, he has, he had his own restaurant in the 80s, 90s, but he's done a huge amount of TV work, which has become quite well celebrated. Saturday Morning Cook, am I got that right? Ready, Steady Cook, something like that. I hope I've not done him down on that. I know he did cook the Queen's lunch at Hampton Court Palace along with his eldest son. And if you ask Brian what his proudest moment was, it was working with his eldest son cooking the Queen's lunch. and starting Adopt School and leading the Future Chef competition that's developed so well with Springboard has been a very interesting process, because the Adopt School tends to be younger children, aged up to, say, 9, 12 at the top, whereas the Future Chef is 12 to 16, 12 to 17. So it has a sort of conjunctivity to it. I think asking John more about the industry now, and he is very concerned that apprenticeships are falling behind. Clearly, there's funding issues going on now, and there are, fortunately, with the academy, there is a fairly strong sort of funding that goes back with legacies that people have left, and the fact that most of the academicians, as they're called, are renewing. Associates are struggling a bit at the moment, who are the suppliers, because sadly some of them have gone out of business. But again, Brian and John's response is not to be too prohibitive on these scenarios, but to give people more time. Because I think at heart, the academy beats strongly with both of them, and they are completely focused on our return from the pandemic and all the darkness of it of the last year to 15 months, whatever it'll be, 16 months by the time we can start trading again. And I think the events that are being put on ice will come back next year, if not later this year. And the sponsors, of which are many and varied, will still be hopefully there, and it'll live to fight another day. And I think that'll be a great moment for both the academy and the industry, and for the industry, because it is really their personality that gives it a huge amount of infusion. And the events called plenary events, where chefs are invited to come and listen to a guest speaker. It might be to do with some latest food legislation. It might just be someone who's highly charismatic who's going to give a sort of talk for the day. But once again, Brian and John are very evident in promoting it. And if you talk to the academicians, who are the chefs, who are members, and restaurant managers I mentioned as well, and pastry chefs, they all are fantastically inspired by these two people. And I think ultimately, as you would know, Chris, better than I do, personalities have an ability to influence. And we're not yet in the AI era where we're going to become robots or whatever.
Thank God.
Yeah. And the charisma of these two characters is paramount for both the organisation and for the fun of the events. So I think I've given them enough of a pump up. They
there's also the fact that they just give so much, isn't it?
Well, that's right, and it's pro bono, as they say. You know, it's not paid. I think Brian's title is president of the Academy, Royal Academy of Culinary Arts, and he'll work with DEFRA on things. He'll work on sustainability issues. He'll work on things to do with chlorine levels in chicken coming from America. You know, he'll get involved with it. So a lot of very serious issues. John will get involved as well, but he's doing the day job. I mean, he's running the brigade at the Ritz day to day. But they both give a huge amount of their time. And John is the chairman of the trade association of it. And I think there can't be many people in the industry who are so well looked up to. And it's not just about OBs and CBs and the like, or to be, CB for Brian and John is actually an MBE, but it's Katie Awards, it's industry recognition, as long as you're on. And they're still doing it. And I think Sarah Jane Staines, the chief executive, would be the first to say that we need in the industry figureheads to really drive it, and they have. So I think, long may they rule over us.
Great. Thank you, David. That's great.
Not at all.